Good afternoon. We are here today with Annika Moody from Ebenezer Counseling Services. Ebenezer is going to start having a presence here at CAK on Mondays from 11 to 2, and we'd like to introduce you to Ebenezer. Hi Annika, thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Would you start by telling us a little bit about yourself, including how long you've been with Ebenezer?
Sure. My name is Annika Moody. I'm a Knoxville native, graduated from Carnes High School, and then stuck pretty close to go to UT Knoxville for both my undergraduate and graduate degree. So I did social work for both of those and am now working with Ebenezer Counseling as a therapist. I've been there for 5.5 years. Personally, I've been married 13 years. I have 2 little boys at home. They're 6 and 3, so we get to enjoy a lot of fun times together, even though I'm outnumbered at my house at this point.
Great. Do you specialize in helping certain types of clients?
I see 12 years old and up, so middle school age, high school age, and then typically college age and young adults. I see people who are dealing with depression, anxiety, obsessive compulsive disorder, body image or eating disorder issues, trauma, also spiritual concerns, relationship issues. So I like to teach a lot of communication skills when needed, which it's often needed, and I found that to be so beneficial in families. Just learning assertive communication, active listening makes such a difference. And I also find myself teaching a lot of mindfulness and relaxation, helping people know what thoughts are going through their mind and learning to first know what they are, know what those thoughts are, and then figuring out if they're helpful and true, and then learning to modify if needed.
Wow. Now you are a Christian counseling organization, Ebenezer is, correct? So
yes.
you can introduce the Christian component if the client so desires.
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. What do you think are some of the biggest issues of facing high school students today?
I think our high school students right now we're in a unique time where there's a lot of technology, even more so than just 10 years ago. So I think that they have a lot more to balance in that respect and to figure out how to manage their screen time. And there's lots of laptops involved with their schoolwork. There's their smartphones and their iPods, etc. So some estimates say that students are using screens 9+ hours a day, and we probably all are. That's probably not just our high schoolers. So I think having that be a more normal part of life is a challenge. Figuring out how to connect outside of that, figuring out how to, distract yourself or relax or find things that are nurturing to you outside of your phone is harder, because sometimes it seems like it's all just in there, and that's not always it's usually not true. So I think that's a big challenge. Depression and suicide and self-harm, I think it's a huge issue. I think a lot of our high schoolers, they either have been suicidal, they know someone who has been, and they are talking about it more. And in some ways that's a really good thing, and in some ways that's a very difficult thing to be expected to know what to say when your friend is cutting themselves, or when they're saying they don't know if they want to live anymore. And dealing with that confidentiality piece with friends your own age is something a lot of us didn't have to do in high school. I didn't. So dealing with that as a professional is difficult. Dealing with that with your friends is extremely difficult. I can't quite imagine what it's like firsthand, but I know that it has a big effect on our students. And I tell them that. I'm honest with them to say, on a personal level, I didn't have to deal with that when I was your age, but they do have to, and they've got to figure out what those boundaries look like and how to communicate, when to tell somebody, when not to. So I think that's a very difficult issue for them.
Okay, thank you. What do you think some of the advantages are of offering Ebenezer counseling services within the high school versus in your offices?
I think the main advantage is time. I think not having to leave school, drive, and drive back will hopefully keep them from missing class, even more so than they would have to staying in the building. I hope that, having me being in their environment a little bit and knowing that I know what they're talking about, that's an advantage that I don't usually get to have. And, if they desire for me to communicate with any of their teachers or other staff, then that kind of makes that transition easier. So I think all of those will hopefully be advantages as we get this started.
How do you handle the confidentiality piece? Say a student comes to you, shares a problem that they're having. What guarantee do they have that that will not be shared with others?
Mm-hmm. That's a great question, because I think with me being here at CAK on Mondays, it could appear that I have relationships that would enable me to share personal information that students are sharing with me, but that's not going to be the case unless they sign a release for me to do that. Just like if they were meeting me at Ebenezer and wanted me to call their guidance counselor or be a part of a school meeting, they would have to release me to do that. And the exact same thing will be true here. So I won't be able to divulge any information unless they and their parents have signed that release for me.
Okay, what about, aren't there some limits of confidentiality regarding if a student were considering suicide, for example?
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you for bringing that up. So I always tell people the very first meeting that times that I will have to break their confidentiality is if they are telling me they're going to kill themselves or someone else, or if they're reporting child abuse. Everyone in Tennessee is actually a mandatory reporter, and me most of all as a counselor, I have to make sure to report that not only to the people involved, but in some cases to the Department of Children's Services.
Okay, thank you. Is the model like what we're introducing here at CAK already in existence at other high schools?
Yes, at Bearden High School. So Ebenezer has an agreement with the administration at Bearden that Ebenezer counselors, the ones who have gone through the process, can see those clients who might want to see them at Bearden. So it's not a requirement that if that's happening that they have to do that at Bearden, but if they would like to, that's available to them.
Okay, so how would a parent set up services with you for their student if they wanted to have their student seen here at CAK?
Mm-hmm. So you're going to go ahead and call Ebenezer's office and talk with the receptionist there and go through the initial intake process through us at Ebenezer, just like anybody else would. So they'll take your name and ask kind of for your reason for calling, and make sure to tell them that your child specifically wants to be seen at CAK, and they'll know that there's a special spot on my schedule where they can put those students on Mondays. And then you have a couple options after that. So once you schedule that intake appointment, you can either go on the website and print off the paperwork. You can also come to the Ebenezer office and fill out paperwork there and turn it in. I'll also have paperwork here with me at the school. Of course, if you do it here at the school, then the parent would have to be here to sign that. So as long as everything is signed and everything is there that I need to release me to do therapy with the student, then we're good to go. So that can look a few different ways, but please feel free to ask through Ebenezer. For the front office staff can help you find the forms, the right forms that are on the website, or like I said, you're welcome to come down and get them from the office.
Okay, and where is the office located?
So we have two offices. One is off Ebenezer Road. It's 325 Ebenezer Road. And then the other one is more toward UT's campus, it's 131 North Concord Street.
Okay, thank you. So we mentioned, I think previously, you're planning to keep office hours on Mondays from 11 to 2 to begin with. Could that change as time goes on depending on demand?
Yes, it can, and I'm hoping that it will. We also have a couple of other therapists at Ebenezer, Leah Giles and Leanne Foster, specifically, who are hoping to add some hours at CAK for next school year, and I'm hopeful that I will get to be here more often. So, yeah, I'm hopeful that that's going to be the case.
Okay. Can you think of anything else that you would like to share with parents of our students about this new program? Yes,
I think it does kind of, it's new, it's different. This isn't getting to happen everywhere yet. I love that there gets to be a partnership. I think that's really exciting. So I guess maybe just clarifying, I'm not on staff at CAK, but y'all have been so supportive and helpful, and we're really excited to get to be in the school and be able to offer students time to come and talk with us without having to take all the time out during the school day, or take time out of after school activities, because I know that it's hard for families to find the time to fit in once a week counseling or every other week. So yeah, and I would just hope that anyone who has questions would come to us, either way, and ask that, and I know I'm happy to talk about it and clarify and answer any questions, and I know that
Right.
you said the same thing.
Yes, and one of the things that we talked about is we may have to modify the schedule depending on a student's schedule. So if there's no study hall, maybe over lunch, maybe there's a class that can be missed occasionally because it's not a core course. So I think that's something that we're going to be able to work out as time goes on, depending on the individual students who are interested in being seen.
Yeah, that sounds great. So for starting out, it'll be Mondays 11 to 2, and hopefully being during lunch will help at least a couple people not have to miss class. So I'm hopeful we can work all that out.
Yes, well, we thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much.